Thank
So,
you for having me.
yeah, girl.
So
So,
excited.
Krista is a certified cognitive behavior therapist and
Hmm.
transformational life coach. And she specializes in helping women with self-love, right? All about self-love and the inner goddess within. And I love
Yes.
that. It is so special. So, Krista, I would just want to jump right into it. First question for you. What stops us really from being our own wonderful self? What stops us from being that beautiful goddess that we are?
So a lot of times, and I think that it's probably not what everyone's expecting, but I would say that 100% it is all about our
Mm,
mindset. Like we really have, and it's kind of my whole philosophy, I guess, in my teaching is really about just kind of helping women strip back those layers and break down the
mm,
walls that we've really kind of built up. Through either the way that we've been raised, what we've been
yeah,
taught through trying to just conform to societal norms. All of this stuff is so
yeah,
deeply ingrained in our brains.
yeah,
So, truly a big aspect of this
yeah.
is literally what is happening in our minds and being able
Mm,
to really get to the bottom of it, learn how to manage our emotions, learn how to kind of really navigate and rewire our brains so we can get deep down to the
mm.
true and authentic selves that we are inside.
I love that. That is so beautiful. So, for the people watching now, feel
Hmm.
free to ask us any questions once we're live, and we'll definitely answer your questions as well on not live. So, Krista, for those people that are watching and go, I really want to just love myself. I understand that there's some programming involved. I get that, there are some humps or some hurdles I have to get through, but I'm still not like integrating. Still not really coming in for my full knowledge and for my full love. What would you
Hmm.
tell those people? Do you have any like a step-by-step practice for us or anything that we can just start so it comes from that 3D surface level and it integrates down?
I think that a really good place to start is to really allow ourselves to get honest and open with where
Yeah.
we are right now.
Oh, I love
I
that.
think especially when we're in a place where we're struggling and we're not feeling like we're at our best, it's
Yeah.
our instinct to kind of try to run away from it,
Yeah.
and ignore it. And sometimes it's super painful to actually say the words or, to really kind of bring that reality to light.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we really don't know where to go. So I think the
Mm.
first thing that I would say to do is really like, and I'm a huge fan. I have it sitting right here. Like I'm a journal kind of gal. Like
Yeah, girl.
it is, I am
I love
huge
that.
into journaling. So
I love that.
my first thing would be like grab a journal. Like it doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
journal. Grab your laptop and really just like ask yourself, where am I now? Like where am I
Mm.
now? What is my relationship like with myself? What is working and what's not working,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
if you want to see a result, you've got to do something different than you're doing. You have to,
Mm.
like whatever it is that you're doing is not getting you to the place that you want to go. So you've got to be able to make those changes. So start and just write down, what is it?
Yeah.
What is my relationship like with myself? What do I want to be different?
Yeah.
And then one of the things that I really teach my girls is that a lot of the reason that we all start and quit
Mm.
is because we get overwhelmed, right? Like we go in with this huge laundry list that we're like, Monday I'm
Mm.
starting. Like I'm starting Monday. I'm going to hit the
Gotcha.
gym. Like I'm going to only eat this. I'm going to, only say nice things to myself. Like
Wow.
we go in with this huge list and it's totally overwhelming to us. So like Monday, maybe we do all of it. But then Tuesday rolls around and we're like, oh, starting to like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've
Yeah.
all been there, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
we fall off the
Oh, yeah.
wagon so quickly
Yeah.
because we are literally setting ourselves up for failure. So, start with where you're at and then make a plan. Make a plan. Make a plan and give yourself small, achievable goals, right? Like, it doesn't matter how small that you start. It can be any little step, okay? Like, this morning, I'm going to get up 5 minutes earlier and read something inspirational to start my day off. Like, if that's where you're at, if 5 minutes is like a big step for you, get comfortable with that. Like, get comfortable in that place. And then once that gets a little bit easier, add something else in and something else in. So
I love
those
that.
small steps, getting real with where you are, and just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah. And don't overwhelm yourself with so much. Yeah. I love that. It's going back to the present. It's going back to your authentic nature.
Yep.
And it's not, if you think about it, and I love how you're describing it, I love to also visualize it as like I'm fishing, right? I'm from Texas. And so going fishing, you have that bobber that goes into the water, right? When a fish grabs it. And that, to me, it feels like it's my ego pulling me down. And then when I release it and I go, you know what? I'm good. I don't need you, ego. I am safe. I don't need to run from bears. I'm okay crossing the street. This is just my creative writing. I'm okay. I'm safe. It comes right back up. That bobber just comes right back up to the surface, and I let it go. And I feel like people think that they have to fix something or be something. And it's like, no, it's just, you start with what you can do today. You start with those little steps that, like you're saying, what you can do today. And that's perfect. That's beautiful. Oh my goodness,
those little things. Right where you are is the perfect spot to start. Like, you don't need, right? We tell ourselves this all the time. We're like, once I lose this 10 pounds, this 20 pounds, like, then I'll start going to the gym because then I'll feel more comfortable. But you've got to just start where you are. And there's no wrong place to start. No wrong place to start.
Yeah. And we see people on social media having those great bodies or having the beautiful experiences. And we're like, oh, I need to be them. I need to be them like yesterday. How do I get there now without having that journey? Exactly. And they're missing the opportunity to have their own self-discovery and have their own self-beauty and their own self-worth, as you know, which is amazing.
Definitely.
Amazing. Okay, so I want to move forward, and I want to ask, since you do have two beautiful little kids, what is something you want to tell your kids and then other moms out there on how to nurture that idea of self-love? How to nurture it in themselves so it impacts their own life as a mother, and how it really rubs off for their daughters?
I think something that I believe fully and really want to especially instill in my daughters is that who you are in the form that you are, like as you are perfect. You know, like whatever little quirks you have, whatever, things that you enjoy, whether they're like the cool thing or not, or, the societal norm, like, that's amazing. You don't have to change who you are for anyone or anything, or to meet any sort of, expectation that society throws out there for us. So, and the thing is too, is like, this generally is something that comes very easy to our children. Like, they don't know anything other than to just be like naturally who they are, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of, one thing that I really go back to often is I kind of feel like as children, we're naturally like weird and quirky and fun and playful. And then slowly life just like beats that right out of you, right? Like, we get uncomfortable with those things. So like, as a parent too, allow yourself to get back on that level with your kids, like allow yourself to play, allow yourself to just like be that like funny, silly, like quirky kid inside, because like that's your most genuine version of yourself. Like, you can't get any more authentic than that. And there's so much that we can learn from being around our kids, but also the concept of really going back to, what did I enjoy as a kid? Because most likely it's still quite similar to the things that you enjoy now, you know, even if they're in a little bit different form.
Yeah.
But I think really honoring yourself, you know,
Mm,
honoring who it is that you truly are and not feeling like you have to alter and, you know, mold and sculpt that to look a certain way, because you don't. You
I love
absolutely
that.
don't.
I love that. And as you're talking, I'm getting the image of what you posted on Facebook with, oh, this is the Snapchat I'm going to send, out to everyone. And then this is what I
Oh
sent
my
to
God.
my
Of
sister.
my kids, is
This is,
that
yeah,
not the
yep, that
funniest
was the one.
thing? And that's so them in their daily lives.
Yep.
My kids are wild, wild, and like, yeah, but they're weird and
Yeah.
quirky and like
Yeah.
fun, and that's at our depth. Like that's who we all are, right? Like we're
Mm,
just those, I don't know, just ourselves,
just
literally just our
ourselves.
authentic selves.
Just
So
ourselves.
I don't know if you happen to see this one day, but I take my grandmother to some of her doctor's appointments, and the kids
Oh,
come with
beautiful.
me.
Beautiful.
So we're in the doctor one day, and the nurse is like going through her whole like spiel with my grandmother,
Yeah.
and she my grandmother asks Addie, she's like, "Do you want to be a nurse when you get older?" And I thought Addie would snap back and be like, "Yes, yes, I do."
Yeah.
She gets this weird look on her face and she's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "You don't?" I was like, "Well, what do you think you want to be?" She was like, "I just want to be my normal self." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Oh
I'm like,
my
"Oh."
goodness.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh.
Like trying not to cry in the doctor's office. I'm like, "Yes, like
Mm,
that." Like that's literally the answer of my dreams, like from a kid. Like
yeah.
I just want to be myself. Like I don't want to be identified as what I
Yeah.
do, right? Like I just want to be me. I just, oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's a great
sweetest little,
lesson. Yeah, that's a great
yeah,
lesson for all of us because even since I was a child, I don't know about you, it's okay, what do you want to be? What do you want to do as a career? What do you want
yeah,
to do as a career? What defines
yep,
you as a career? And it's like, well, really, no one really is defined as one specific career. It's we're
no,
all evolving and we're all evolving together. And we're all opening our hearts up to see how we can co-create with one another. And so I
yes,
think that's absolutely beautiful. And I'm so
yes.
glad you shared that story because it
Ugh,
almost gives you the insight where the kids know what's best. They
they
know what's
do.
best from them. And then
They
you kind of
really do.
grow up and society tells you something completely different. It says, oh, you know what? That judgment, people are going to judge you. And
Hmm.
if people start judging you, you start losing that love. You start losing that sense of security, right?
Yep.
And then that's when we get fearful, right? That's where we get, oh, that insecurity. And it actually reminded you, I feel like a stalker now. I'm seeing all your posts.
I love.
It also reminded me of what you posted for your beautiful pageant days with Miss USA, which is, I just want to say that's such a beautiful accomplishment in itself.
Thank
So
you.
congratulations on being Miss Delaware, right? Miss Delaware.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay,
Miss
perfect.
Delaware,
So
USA. Yep.
amazing, amazing accomplishment.
Thank
And
you.
I believe in your post, you were mentioning, oh, you know what? I had so many insecurities. I would go back into the dressing room and just wanting to be prettier or be pretty enough
Yes.
with my makeup off, which I had it on. And I was
Right.
looking back at those
Yeah.
pictures and it's like model pictures. If anyone is watching now and isn't friends with Krista, definitely friend her because, oh my gosh, she
Thank
has
you.
beautiful posts, just a beautiful feed in general. And I mean, going back to the pictures, it's like, model status. And so I think you also mentioned something about how young, women, maybe young children looking at you and wanting to be you
Yeah.
and having you feel that way. What is your reaction to that and what have you learned from that experience and now kind of jumping into what you're doing now? How do you
Yeah.
take those steps?
So I definitely, you know, and for a long time, I
Yeah.
kind of just emotionally, literally emotionally, like blocked off kind of that period of
Yeah.
my life because, and this is something that I do talk a bit about on my personal page, is that for me, like, I kind of have gotten to where I am today just as a transformation from pretty
Yeah.
much like where I reached a rock bottom. And that was really where a lot of it started for me. And, you know, I am so incredibly grateful for that experience. Absolutely. And there are some really beautiful things that I have learned from pageants, but
Yeah.
absolutely, like, how to love my body was not one of them. Like, how to celebrate who I am was not one of them. And I'm not blaming,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
anybody or,
Yeah.
anything necessarily about being involved in pageants or, whatever. But for me, like, that's what that experience was. And I was young. I was only 18 years old. I was the youngest person at Miss USA.
Oh, wow.
And so for me, where all that kind of really went was I won my state pageant, which was incredible. And then after that, as I started prepping, it
Yeah.
was like who I was never right, and it was never enough, right? Like it was literally just this constant critique of like, how can you be better? Like, your body is not in Miss USA shape. Like, you've got to learn how to do your makeup better. Like, you're, this and this and this. Like, it's just not, yeah. So,
Yeah.
of course, like that gets literally ingrained in your brain. Like, that becomes your belief about yourself.
Yeah.
So I just remember having those feelings. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just like like you were saying, like I would take my makeup off at night and I didn't even recognize myself. So, I would have this really weird experience where I would look at myself in the mirror with all this makeup caked on, like lashes, like tan, all this crazy stuff. And then at night, like I would strip it all back and just be like, why can't I look like this? Or why is this something that, some of the other girls, it's like easy for them to have a body like this, where for me, I was literally abusing my body, to try to reach like a certain place. And so I just had this really like ugly kind of internal battle with, everything, with my emotions, with my self-worth. And, and then I would have like these sweet little girls like looking up to me and being like, oh, like she's like a princess, like she's perfect. And I'm like, oh, but like they don't know also, one, like what I have sacrificed to achieve that. And in many ways that we're, not healthy and we're not, right. So now as a mom, especially, I think back like, we want our daughters to have role models who are just, strong and confident and, all of these things and believe in themselves. And I was like, that's totally not who I am in this place. Like that is not knowing what I was dealing with inside. I was like, that's not the role model I want for my girls. Like I felt very uncomfortable with being that kind of, like celebrity that, in that spotlight. It was just, it was interesting, but I think that it has not think like I know that it's absolutely been one of the most important parts of my journey now that has taught me so many things. And, really in our world, like you don't have to be in a pageant or go to Miss USA to have those same kind of feelings instilled in you. Like social media does it to us already.
Yeah.
So, and again, like this is where what I teach my girls and my clients is like, you've got to get to a place where you are so comfortable with yourself that outside approval, that outside, like, whatever judgments are being thrown your way, like you don't even care, like you just, whatever, you like, they don't matter to you anymore when you have that relationship and that comfort level with yourself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I heard a saying, and it was by Ram Dass. I don't know if you've heard of him. He said, "Hey, if you don't like me, that's your judgment, and if you like me, that's your judgment." It's almost like you're taking a step back and not really caring what's in front of you at that moment. It's like you're not really involved as much within what's going on. You are, of course, but you're looking at almost like a science experiment, right? You don't become personally affected when the two chemicals mix and combust, right? You're looking at it from a totally different view where, hey, it's just life. I'm looking at it from a bigger picture where this is a memory, and it could be a good memory or something I learned from, something
allowing yourself to be an observer of it.
Yes, observer of it. And I think your story with Miss USA is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I think your girls have such a beautiful mom in the process.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to go to a few comments because I see a few coming out and I have to read this kind of backwards. So my comments are to the right of the screen when they're usually
I was going to say, I hope that you can read them because I know for sure that I cannot right now with my setup. I will have us shut off of this whole thing. 100%. I will have us like disconnected in a second.
Oh, we have one comment saying religion. Interesting. I wonder, I think that was in the very beginning when we had society come into our lives and having religion really make up our minds where if we're good or bad in that sense, right? If we're being a good person or a bad person. And it wasn't up to us all the time, but it was up to, their views. And I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, but
really, the whole concept when we think of not even just religion, but how we're raised in general. And, not to like put the blame on anyone wherever that we collect our baggage and all of these beliefs that we have, but like we're grown up being kind of planted into whatever religion that our family believes in. And, it's not something that we choose for ourselves. So, and it can be something that we all experience some discomfort with when we start to get older and kind of start to create our own system of beliefs. And, sometimes when we see people like questioning some of the things that they've learned, whether it's through a religion or through, just their upbringing or society or whatever, we start to kind of feel like we're kind of losing our foundation. Like we're kind of questioning everything. And, I think that that's such a beautiful thing when we're in a place where we're starting to question, where we're starting to question anything in life, to actually make up our minds for ourselves.
Yes.
Not just what we've been told.
100% agree. 100% agree. And the feeling within that. People have never been taught to feel. And so it's very interesting and different to see
I can talk about this one. Forever.
Yes, girl. Yes. And having that feeling show, no matter if it is placed in a good way or a bad way.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go on a little bit. Oh, yep. 100% religion. Okay, I think that was for society. I'm reading these now. Get that shit regulated, monitored, and taxed, and women will rule. I love that. That's beautiful. No woman will ever love herself. Sorry, I'm reading this like this. I think it's just technical difficulties that I'm just going with. I'm just going to go with it.
No,
under the thumb of religion, no one will ever rule. Okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. See the relationship with herself as long as she is confirmed by religion. Interesting. Yeah. And I think we're definitely speaking about that. Yeah.
And I don't have I myself am not a super religious person. Like one of the beautiful things that I have read, and I think anything religion and what we believe in that sense is a super personal thing, I mean, but I kind of think that one of the beautiful things is that I think really there's something beautiful that we can learn in every religion, right? Like I could go and sit, with anybody of any religion, and there's always a beautiful message within that, So I'm not really, like I said, like I don't really have strong opinions on religion. Like I think you do what, what feels good for you, like what feels good and, in integrity with your own personal beliefs about the world. And I think like that's where you're drawn, whatever. But I think too, like I said, I think it's just so beautiful, the concept of understanding that just because you believe one thing doesn't mean that there's not a valuable message in something else and another belief. So that's one thing that I really enjoy is kind of taking messages from all different places and applying them how they work for me, and how they fit and just make me feel, however I want to feel in in a spiritual way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And for those people that are dedicated and have dived into religion and
Yeah.
knowing that it's all good and it is all good and
Yeah.
it's all beautiful. And I always think of, okay, church is where the heart is, right? Because it's
Yeah.
everywhere. It's not just in one conformed building, but it's wherever you go, right? And
Yeah.
it's how you look at it and how you look at things. And I think that's so awesome. I want
Yeah.
to get a little scientific because
I
self-worth,
love that.
yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Self-worth really goes into a cellular level because you're really
Yeah.
talking to yourself and to
Yeah.
all the cells that are really connected to the being that you are.
Hmm.
So, what would you say to someone who doesn't really believe that self-worth is that important? Really kind of catching them and showing, hey, it's how you're making up your life. It's how you're attracting. Maybe that's even attracting money, clients.
Hmm.
Maybe that's even attracting situations, relationships, how you own your body, right? It's really an outlook of how you see the world. So what would you tell to those people who haven't really ingrained that just yet?
So, and I kind of believe this to be true for anything at
Yeah.
all in our lives. But, especially when we're talking about the beliefs that we have about ourselves, our connection to our value, our self-worth, our
Mm,
confidence, every one of those things is started in your brain. It's
yeah.
literally started in your mind, right? So your thoughts 100% create your reality. So, I'm a big like neuroscience nerd.
Mm,
Like I love all things brain related because it truly is the root of everything that we're experiencing in our lives. So, especially when it gets into your self-confidence and those things like that, really tackling the
mm,
beliefs that we have and transitioning, the way that we are thinking is so powerful in our lives. So, you can talk a lot about things like affirmations, about
mm.
one of the things that I practice every night is, and I wish I had them by me because I've talked to a lot of my clients about them, but I have these like sleep headphones that I wear every night,
Oh,
and I
wow.
listen to like a sleep meditation, sleep affirmation, hypnosis, whatever it is that you want to call it. It's all the
Wow.
same concept. But what it is while you are actually in a sleeping state, your brain is directly sending that information to your
Mm,
subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is responsible for so many of our, pretty much 95% of our daily like actions, and the things that are ingrained in us are coming from that subconscious mind. So it's kind of like a direct hit to your subconscious. So really
mm.
accessing that at night is something that's super powerful. And a lot of times what it is it's something like, it's just kind of saying these little messages to you throughout the night, which can kind of, it creeps my husband out, like, which is why I have the headphones. He's not about it. He is not about it. He's like, turn that shit off. I'm like, listen, I'm reprogramming my brain, like, cool it. I'll get my headphones. But really, where it starts is rewiring that
Yeah.
brain. And, you can really, like, you can take this so far too when you get down to the science of it, like what you eat, your level of
Mm,
exercise, like, so many things are connected to your brain and the way that we feel about ourselves and that relationship that we have with ourselves. So, I mean, really, I would
mm,
say, I would argue in a sense that to truly make a change with your, involving how you feel about yourself and your relationship with that
mm,
confidence and all of these things, you almost have to change your brain. I mean, it's
mm.
pretty much the only
Yeah.
way. And, even if we
Yeah.
don't recognize that we're doing it, that is where the juicy stuff like comes from, is rewiring literally how we think about ourselves.
That's beautiful. What exactly do you listen to at night? So any viewers are
So
interested.
yeah, so all kinds of
Yeah.
things, and I can totally give you links to them, but there
Okay.
are ton of a ton of different hypnosises and meditations and such that you can find on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
And the great thing is you can really like pinpoint what it is that you want to change. So, you know, there are some that you have for, you know, reprogramming your mind for a healthy lifestyle, like being attracted to eating vegetables, you know, moving your body. There are some that, you know, you can use to target your relationship with your confidence, some that you can use to change your relationship with your emotions, with how you deal with anxiety. There's literally one for everything out there.
Wow.
So I would kind of say like I can give you my go-to ones that I personally really like. But you can literally go on there and search like sleep meditation for whatever it is that you want to target, and you'll find one pop up. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Super cool.
And for those who may be a little bit intimidated by hypnosis, can you explain that it's just going into that beta stage? If I'm getting it right, it's beta, alpha, something like that. So it's going
beta.
deeper. There we go. Beta, going deeper into that. And so it's kind of, you're more receptive to it.
Yeah. So really the whole word like hypnosis it's definitely like, it's kind of creepy, right? Yeah. But like we have this vision of like you walking around like on stage, like the weird like stuff we've seen at the fair or whatever. But all hypnosis is self hypnosis. You know, and really it's nothing more. I really don't resonate with the word hypnosis. Like, it's something you can look up and you'll get the same result. But like, I really respond better to the word meditation, because that's really all it is. Yeah. It's like a deep state of meditation. And even that, like, you're sleeping, you know, I mean, you can put yourself into a state of hypnosis while you are awake, but really it's a deep state of meditation where your brain is, you know, settling down. And like you were saying, like going through those processes that are getting you closer to sleep. And in which case, like during those lower states, the closer you get to sleep, the more receptive your brain actually is to those messages. So they get closer to going directly into that subconscious mind, which is what we want. Like that's our goal, is to have those things be ingrained into our subconscious, because what is in our subconscious is generally what we hold to be true. That's where, like, you know, your main thoughts and your actions like generally come from. Like if you're thinking of your automatic actions, you know, I mean, so let's say you're used to looking in the mirror and, you know, saying like, oh my gosh, I look awful, I'm fat, right? So when you start reprogramming your subconscious, you start to look at yourself in the mirror without even thinking that, you know, that whole conversation has changed. You know, you start looking in the mirror and start acknowledging, you know, wow, like I look great in this. Like it really is, you know, it does all stem from that subconscious mind.
You're highlighting your features now instead of you're embracing it, right? You're embracing everything of who you are, which is the epitome of self-love. And I love it. Thank you so much, Krista. Oh, it's been so great having you. Can you let us know if you have anything coming up on the horizon? How can people reach you? Any products or services that you're offering right now?
So I'm super active on Facebook. I'm not really an Instagram kind of gal, which I think is whatever. Like, it's just not my thing. I'm not a big Instagram person. So find me on Facebook. Coming up soon, I haven't announced it yet, but I will be running one of my group courses called Reclaim, and it's all around just building that confidence from the inside out. So we go into everything from your limiting beliefs, the power of mindset, really getting down to kind of reprogramming your mind, learning to manage your emotions, all of those things we really dig into. So that'll be coming up within the next couple weeks that I will be announcing that. But if anybody is interested now, you can absolutely shoot me a message and we will kind of get you on like a pre-enrollment kind of situation.
Awesome.
So yeah.
And Krista is, I was just going to say Krista's tagged to this post and she'll be sharing it. And so you'll definitely be able to reach her. So what else do you have? Yeah. We're excited.
I do have, aside from that, I have about 4 one-to-one coaching opportunities if that's
Okay.
something that anybody is interested in.
Perfect.
Group programs are really amazing because one, I love that you get the chance to learn with a group of women. And I think that it's so powerful, especially when we're talking about this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Insecurities, like,
Yeah.
and growth and expansion. It's so powerful to be in a space with other women that are on the same journey. But,
Yeah.
if you're kind of craving that more one-to-one, like more specific direction and how it applies directly to your life, and full accountability, all of that stuff, the one-to-one is a really great option for somebody who's looking for something that's a little bit more in depth,
Yeah.
personalized, that kind of thing. Yeah.
One-on-one attention. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming like in my one-on-one programs, the intensity just turns up, the dial just
Oh
turns
yeah.
up. So I'm assuming it's the same as yours too. Like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's night and day from group coaching and one-on-one. So
Yeah.
if
It really
anyone's
is.
very, specific on their particular needs with
Yeah.
all the areas that you addressed, definitely reach out to you for one-on-one.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I like to think of it as like, say you're traveling somewhere, like
Yeah.
the group opportunity is kind of like a bus ride, like you're taking the bus ride there. Like
Yeah.
the one-to-one coaching is kind of like taking a plane, right? Because you're skipping
Mm.
over all of those, little things and sorting through how they apply to you when you're working, one-on-one as a coach. Like you have the ability to really like kind of pinpoint, okay, this is what you need to focus on. Maybe you're in a good
Mm.
space with this and this, yeah, but right here is where we need to start with you. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely that one-to-one coaching is super powerful.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Krista. It was such a
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you on, and
Thank you.
we'll definitely be seeing more of you. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
I have so enjoyed chatting with you. Thanks again. It's
Yay!
been beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.